Well, first of all, congratulations on being announced as the DPP for Bermuda, Mr. Mussenden.
Thank you.
But I want to ask, how does this affect your position as running for the CONCACAF presidency?
Well, Earl, I've had an interesting background over the last 20 years where my football career and my law career have basically gone side by side. And you perhaps can remember more than most, but I started as a volunteer with Bermuda Football Association, and then I became a director, and then after that I became the president of the association. And so I've always been able to make time for Bermuda Football Association, in fact, a lot of time. At the same time, I had my legal career, and so I was a Crown Counsel before, prosecuting crime. Then I went into the defense world. Then I was the Attorney General and Minister of Justice and a senator. And then I went back into defense world and started my own law firm. So I've always been involved in football whilst I've had a legal career. And I never ever stepped away from football, even whilst having senior positions like the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. During that time, since 2003, I was on the FIFA Disciplinary Committee. In 2007, I became the chairman of the Appeals Committee. So that was actually another layer of football work that I was able to do, and that never affected my legal performance. I was always prepared, always went to court. And so it's been a steady grind, but it's high stress, and I enjoy that. I enjoy jury trials. It's a very serious business, but it's what I do, and it's what I like to do.
Some may say...
But I'm not finished.
Oh, okay.
I'm not finished. And so you're asking how will it impact the CONCACAF position. So when the person wins the election for CONCACAF president, I intend to do that, then some things will have to fall away. For instance, part of the CONCACAF statutes now is that you can't be the president of a national association. There's a time period where you have to step down. I think it's a time period of a year or so. Mm-hmm. So I would have to step away from the Bermuda Football Association. At the same time, as far as FIFA is concerned, because the CONCACAF position also gives you a position with FIFA, then if I'm on the FIFA council, then I can't be on the FIFA Appeals Committee, because the Appeals Committee is independent. Mm-hmm. I was also the chairman of the CONCACAF Appeals Committee as well. Mm-hmm. Not as many appeals as the FIFA Appeals Committee. So therefore, what's going to come off my plate would be Bermuda Football Association and would be the Appeals Committee. Now, I hear appeals from around the world on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And several times a month, I'm dealing with appeals with some heavy matters mm-hmm. and huge volumes, and traveling to Zurich or wherever else we're hearing the appeals. So that's going to come off my plate. The Bermuda Football Association will come off my plate, and what I'm going to find is that now there's going to be more time to do the CONCACAF stuff along with my job. So I've always had a job in law, and I will continue to have a job in law, but I actually will probably have less commitment to some things in football and pick it up in other areas with CONCACAF. Now, also with the CONCACAF reforms, there's going to be a general secretary who's going to be a high-quality individual who will be used to running a large organization, and there are going to be various directors of different departments within CONCACAF. So before, a lot of responsibility lay with the president and the general secretary. And we know what has happened over the last few years. Mm-hmm. And so the reforms that are put in place and the structures, the checks and balances that are put in place are designed so that the professional staff are handling all of those areas of responsibility. And then almost like a company, the executive level will be in place to give strategic planning, guidance, getting involved in some of the more important decisions, and the president will be the leader of that executive council. So it's a lot of things coming together that will make it perfectly okay for me to be able to be the director of public prosecutions in Bermuda, as well as continue with really what I consider to be an important part of my life, which is working with football.
Would you consider the position of president of CONCACAF and a vice president of FIFA as a full-time commitment?
Well, all depends. I don't consider it to be a full-time commitment, but if it is a full-time commitment, just like Bermuda Football Association and the Appeals Committee, then I feel I have the ability to be able to do that. But I also have the responsibility working for the people of Bermuda as the director of public prosecutions. So it's a matter of how to manage time, and I can manage my time properly.
The question comes then: how, if you were elected as the CONCACAF president, do you feel your job as president of the Bermuda Football Association is where it needs to be? What you've done with what you and your committee have done thus far?
Right. So if I become the president, and then you ask me questions about Bermuda Football Association, I think that Bermuda Football Association is in a very good position right now, and that comes from a lot of work. And that is work of the executive committee that we have as a group, as well as individual members. It also comes as a result of the good work that we have of the General Secretariat and the Secretariat staff. By that I mean the employees of the Bermuda Football Association. So we have spent a lot of time putting infrastructure in place. We've got using the goal projects, the FIFA goal projects. We've got the field, the lights. We're working on the building. You can see that there's some work going on in the parking lot, and we even have plans for further expansion there. So it's not just Larry Mussenden that has been doing it. I have been the president, but I've been working with the various committees to actually move us ahead. So there are a number of people who are involved in football in Bermuda that can carry on the responsibility. So I'm happy where we are. I wish that we were slightly further ahead as far as the development is concerned. But there are, when I say development, I mean the infrastructure of buildings and whatnot, because there are a lot of controls that are in place, and we have to abide by those. And that it takes a lot of time and energy, but we're doing it because we do everything by the book. And Bermuda Football Association is highly regarded when it comes to its administration and its cooperation with CFU, CONCACAF, and with FIFA.
It's been a few months now since you announced that you were running for the presidency of CONCACAF. How's the campaign going?
I think the campaign is going really well. I'm in touch with people who are going to have a vote. I know most of the people anyway. So the presidents and general secretaries are people that I've known for some time. Now, some longer than others, because some have just been elected in over the last year or two. Others have been there for quite a long time. So these are people who know me and who I know. When we get to the FIFA Congresses, and more importantly, when we get to the CFU, Caribbean Football Union Congress, or the CONCACAF Congress, I'm a president who has studied the material and who gets up to speed with what the issues are and can address. So for instance, with the CFU reforms and the Constitution reform that we had back in 2012, I did a lot of work on the new CFU Constitution, and at one of our congresses where we adopted those new statutes, I was the person that stood at the podium for probably about 6 or 7 hours going through that Constitution clause by clause, taking questions from the floor, explaining what the clause meant, and then at the end moving us so that we adopted the new statutes. For the CONCACAF reform that we went through this year in Miami, I spent a lot of time preparing for the reforms and perhaps led the discussion about the reforms in front of the CONCACAF executives, such that probably the 10 or a dozen issues that I raised, those points were accepted by the executive and by the floor. So by the time we got to Zurich, where we adopted those, there were only a few issues left. Most of the issues that concerned the membership had been resolved. And so I led quite a bit on that as well. So, I mean, I like those things. Yeah, I like the challenge. It's hard work, but my legal training has helped me tremendously with the football work. And I think that the members who are going to have a vote recognize that, and they will recognize that I have the qualities to be able to be the president of CONCACAF. They know that I am one of them. They know that I come from a small country with the football programs that we have, that we're all trying to find resources. We're all trying to do a lot with the little that we have. We're all trying to have a good relationship with corporate sponsors, with the government of the day in any particular country. And we share those things. So, like I say, I'm one of the smaller countries in CONCACAF. They know that we have the same challenges, and I can help to represent them. My manifesto is going to come out fairly soon. and that's going to be a written document setting out my plans for CONCACAF, and we'll share that widely. And of course, Islandstats will get a copy of it. But I think it will be attractive. It's nothing like rocket science. It is the things that we have to do. So I'm looking forward to that being released. And I'm also going to spend some time traveling in the region so that I can canvass people directly for their support.
Will the new committee also be elected during the CONCACAF Congress in May?
No, there's going to be elections for just a few posts. So we had briefly considered fresh elections for a whole slate, but we did not proceed that way. So it's going to be the president of CONCACAF for election. There's going to be an UNCAF position, so that's Central America, and then there's going to be the CFU member that's to FIFA, who will be elected as well. So there's not a whole slate, there's just a handful, yes.
Yeah. Now, recently FIFA held their elections.
Yes.
I managed to watch quite a bit online as it was being streamed. But to get a sense of what it was feeling like inside that auditorium, what was the mood like? Because obviously people were looking for change, looking for something different, hoping to get rid of what happened a year ago. What was that like?
Well, I think everybody was ready for the page to be turned, and we knew that there was going to be a new president. There were very good candidates there, and we had Tokyo Sexwale, the candidate from South Africa, who was the last member to speak, and he gave a rousing speech, and he withdrew. And the other four candidates did speak very well. They obviously had been out canvassing around the world. We here in Bermuda had a visit from His Royal Highness Prince Ali, but we also had Skype calls from the other candidates as well to our executive here in Bermuda, where they were able to present to us, and then we were able to ask questions. But some of us met the candidates at different times at some of the, there was a number of events that we had to go to this year. And so some of us met the candidates then, and we were able to form our opinion. But in the room, it was very exciting because we knew that we had candidates in the first ballot. And then once we had the results of the first ballot, we thought that maybe the bottom two would drop out. But no, they stayed in for some strategic reason of their own. And then we advanced to the second ballot, and then there was a result. It was really exciting. I mean, it's
there were, when the last candidate withdrew after his speech, there was a lot of background noise. Were you shocked when he took himself out of the race?
Well, I was surprised because I thought he was going to remain in, but he made sort of a wide-ranging speech, and he reminded us about the principles that we should adhere to. He spoke about the candidates, and he spoke about his willingness to serve whoever was going to be the successful president. So somewhere about 3/4 of the way through his speech, I realized that he wasn't going to be a candidate, and so he eventually said that he was withdrawing from the race.
Attention, because the noise in the room was kind of shocking.
Right. Okay. For him to finally say it, but by the time you get through that, in court I have to listen a lot to what people are saying and what they're not saying, and then come to some conclusion.
Well, I want to thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man. We look forward to what's next for Larry Mussenden, the Bermuda Football Association, CONCACAF, FIFA, and also, of course, this afternoon, Bermuda take on Cuba in the CFU
the Caribbean Cup.
Caribbean Cup.
We're going to win. We want everybody to stand by for a good result. And then, of course, we have French Guiana coming to play for Saturday night. And the tickets are online at ptix.bm. And then you can also buy your tickets, the hard copy tickets, at the BFA headquarters up in Prospect. We won't be selling tickets at the gates, but the BFA office will be open, so you can also go there on the day to buy tickets. But people should, buy the tickets online, get ahead of the game, because we need their support. So we can all be there together. There's a fan zone, so the people who were with the fan zone before are probably going to go with the fan zone again. Other people can go with the fan zone. So I think it's going to be a very exciting environment, because we know that football brings people together. And I think probably at this stage of this year, of this month, everybody probably needs a nice football game to attend and have a good time, and make sure that we're all rooting for Bermuda.
Okay, well, we'll leave it on that note.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.